It's the Scotiabank West Championship. The BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders on the Team 1040 and across the province on the Lions Radio Network. Second time in 3 years these two teams have played for the right to go to the Grey Cup game. Rick Ball with Julio Caravetta. And Julio, if this game is anything like the one in 2004, we are in for a big, exciting afternoon.
Yeah, you mean I got goosebumps just thinking about this, Rick. This crowd is going to be unbelievable. This game is going to be typical CFL football in the playoffs. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be down to the wire. And there are two teams that match up very, very well. There's a lot of dynamics going on here today, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Riders win 3 of 4 over the Lions in the regular season, Julio. Why? You look at the records, BC certainly looks like the better football team, but Saskatchewan, for whatever reason, has their number.
Yeah, you just look at it from a whole standpoint. They just feel from a game plan standpoint, from a personnel standpoint, they just match up well. If you talk to certain guys, for whatever reason, there's somebody that's their nemesis, that they feel that they just can't block or they can't run a route against. They just feel that the guy's got their number. And for whatever reason, it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders on a whole team level that feel they have the BC Lions number.
Does Dave Dickinson have something to prove this afternoon?
Absolutely. And he went about his business this week during practice, Rick, like a guy who's got something to prove. And whenever his back has been up against the wall and he needs to prove that he can still play, he always seems to deliver. So I'm looking forward to watching him do his thing today.
Kenton Keith had 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a key turning point in the game early in the second half in Calgary last week. How key is it for the Lions to shut down Saskatchewan's running attack?
It is the number one key. If they can shut down Kenton Keith, then it's going to play right into what they feel is going to win them the game, and that is having Kerry Joseph drop back and throw the ball. And throw it downfield, because they feel they're good enough in the back end that if they're going to force Kerry Joseph into throwing the ball, that they're better, that they can cover their receivers and that they can make plays. But if you get Kenton Keith going, now all of a sudden the game changes for Kerry Joseph. He's not being asked to do as much. That short passing game can come into effect. It's the screens. It's all that little dink and dunk stuff that can make him successful. And let's not forget, this is a guy who can run the football. And if you give him some open space, he can kill you with his feet. So, having said that, it's so key for the Lions on first down to stop Kenton Keith.
I've got to ask you, Julie, about playing in this stadium with a big crowd. We're going to have 50,000 plus here this afternoon. How difficult is it for the other teams to deal with the noise factor? Because it's not a usual thing in the CFL. Yeah, in the NFL, every stadium's loud. In the CFL, it's really only when they come into BC Place that they have to deal with it. And, of course, they don't have the luxury that NFL quarterbacks have of having a radio in their helmet to talk to the sidelines. How tough is it coming into this building when it's going to be near capacity and very noisy?
Well, the noise is going to be a huge factor because the fans here are so great. They understand football, that when the opposition's offense is on the field, if they can get as loud as they can, it's just going to cause a hurdle for communication. Everything becomes signals. Everything becomes a silent count. So now the quarterback is having to give a signal to the center to get the ball back. And now that gives the defense an opportunity to know that, hey, if the quarterback's lifting his legs or lifting his arms and the ball's coming within a second of that, you can now time yourself off of that snap. So it causes a big problem communication-wise. You can try to prepare for it. You can blare music all you want. But until you get into a place that's going crazy with 55,000 fans or 50,000 fans, you just cannot simulate that.
And Julio, the BC Lions, boy, best team in the CFL this season, 13-5, clearly the best talent in the league. Anything short of a Grey Cup would have to be considered a disappointment this year.
Yeah, you'd have to think that's what the Lions are thinking along. It's just, for us, Rick, watching this team all year long, it's been one of those situations where we've seen from top to bottom, they're as talented a team as there's been here in BC in a long time and across the league. And when you have that kind of team, because we get the sense talking to the players, they understand that. They understand that this is as good a team as they've been on in a long time, and that they have to seize an opportunity. The opportunity is right there in front of them to capture a championship, and I just can't see it not happening.
Well, the other issue is Dave Dickinson has yet to win a game as a starting quarterback in the playoffs for the Lions. Now, he's only started 2, the West Final last year and, of course, the Grey Cup in 2004. But clearly the pressure's on him to deliver in the crunch in a playoff game today at BC Place Stadium.
Yes.
Against a team that gives him trouble.
This is his nemesis. This team, for whatever reason, gives him the most amount of problems right across the league. And from watching him at practice this week, from seeing the kind of focus to talking about to the players around him, saying this is as focused as we've seen him, he has something to prove, not only to himself, but to his team and to this city, that he's capable of taking them to the next step.
Very interesting to watch the player introductions. The Riders came out as a team and went and stood at midfield right on the Scotiabank Championship logo. The Lions came out and did the same thing, and then afterwards, Otis Floyd, as the rest of the Lions had gone to the sideline, stood at midfield and yapped at 3 or 4 of the Riders on their bench for a good minute and a half.
Well, Kitwana Jones, Nate Davis, a few other of the Stampeders the Roughriders were all right there talking and yelling, screaming back and forth. And you're right. I think what Saskatchewan was doing was going out, doing what the Lions normally do after they're introduced, is going to center field. And they're saying, you know what? This is our house. We've won here. We can win here. And I think the Lions coming out, there was no personal introductions. The Lions came out as a group, as a team, and they all went to center field.
And let's not forget, last time these teams played in Saskatchewan, the 4th of their 4 meetings, before the game, the teams warm up on opposite ends of the field. A football went from the Riders side into the BC stretching session. Jason Armstead of the Riders ran in to get it right through the BC lineup and then back out again. And that caused all sorts of problems. There was a fracas before the game, a bit of a dust-up. One of the lines, Rob Murphy, said Danny Barrett punched him.
Yep.
There was the head coach of the Riders. That goes back to Game 4 of the regular season between these two teams, and I think some of that emotion obviously spilling over to the pregame lead-up to this playoff game here at BC Place.
And what you have to realize, too, as a player and what those guys, you can see that everybody is feeding off the energy of this crowd. It was electric when the players came out for their introductions. It was unbelievable. So it is so important that you could think the adrenaline is going. These guys are talking back and forth. They're talking all this crap. Now, all of a sudden, the beginning of the game starts. You have to control yourself. You do not want the adrenaline to get the best of you and make a mistake.
You can get over-emotional.
Yeah. You're going to maybe try to make it and take someone's head off rather than just going out there and doing your job. So it's important that for both teams that they be able to just come out and try to remain as calm as possible in a very, very difficult situation.
All right, we're still waiting for the East Final to wrap up in Montreal. There's a minute left in the 4th quarter, and the Alouettes lead the Argonauts 30-24. Montreal lining up to attempt a field goal that might put the game away. Rick Ball and Julio Caravet in the broadcast booth here at BC Place Stadium. Jeff Leyland and Scott Rintoul at field level. Let's go down to Scotty right now. Scott?
Yeah, thank you very much, Rick. You guys talk about controlling your emotions. It doesn't appear to be a problem right now on the Saskatchewan sideline. An extreme sense of calm prevailing here on the Riders bench. They seem like a confident bunch. Nobody's bouncing around too much. They're taking a look at their surroundings. They're talking amongst each other, but they look very calm down here on the Riders bench. And yes, Gaynor the Gopher is here.
The mascot rodent to the Riders, who was banned from field level at McMahon Stadium, is allowed on the field here at BC Place.
If I was a superstitious person, I would think that Danny Barrett wouldn't want to change what happened last week. Maybe you don't want to bring him. Maybe he's been restricted, Scotty, between the 35s. He's not allowed outside the 35s.
You know who else will be at field level? Roy Shivers.
Is he?
Former Saskatchewan GM.
Did he make? Is he coming?
We've heard that he's going to be here, and we heard that he'll probably be down at field level.
I would think maybe he's where Casey Printers is, somewhere in the stadium, but not on the field.
I've been told he'll be on the field.
That would be a huge distraction.
As an invitee of the BC Lions, and not the Riders. So the gamesmanship.
You want to dip into that little controversy there?
Eric Tillman, of course, the guy who took over as GM in Saskatchewan after Shivers was fired. Roy Shivers, by the way, had some very, very inflammatory things to say in a story written by Marty York about his dismissal from Saskatchewan. He suggested there's racism in Saskatchewan, that he got all sorts of horrible emails and phone calls and letters all the time. He had some really nasty things to say about Eric Tillman and about the way he does business, and he can't be trusted. It was quite the article. You can read it if you look for it online, but he did not leave there under great terms, as you might expect. And he still looks at this as his team. He said, this is my team and Danny Barrett's team. He said, the only guy that Eric Tillman's really brought in since he's been here is Joe Murphy, and that's it. So Shivers still feels a real emotional connection with this Roughriders football team.
I'm sure he will. And he's right when he says that he was the architect of this football team. And but if his presence is going to be that much of a distraction, I just don't see what benefit there is for him to be on one of these sidelines, because it could be a real sideshow. Because I talked to some of
That's why the Lions gave him a pass.
Well, exactly. And if he's smart, he should realize that I'm not going to use that pass and I'm going to get out of here. Because you got to think where his heart is. This is his team. You got to think that he wants the Saskatchewan Roughriders to win this football game.
Now Casey Printers is here as well, as you mentioned, Julio. And we understand that some of the Lions players said, listen, hey, we like Casey. There's not nothing personal, but we don't need that distraction. So he will not be at field level, but he is in the stadium. You saw him before the game.
I did. I walked into the stadium and he was walking out. I just find it unusual he's on the practice roster with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're playing in Miami today. You would wonder why he's not in Miami and here. If you're going to spend money on a plane ticket, you might as well spend it going to South Beach. But that's my own personal opinion.
A lot of people think Casey's going to wind up back in the CFL at some point. Question is where. There'll be a lot of teams lining up to try and get him.
He's a very, very talented young man who's got the huge upside.
Riders will kick off to start the Scotiabank West Championship game. Ian Smart and Joe Smith back to receive. Luca Conji has the ball teed up at the 35. Referee blows the whistle. Conji brings down the arm, puts the foot to the ball. We're underway at BC Place. And this will be Smart from his own 25-yard line to the 35. Finds a hole to the 40. Look out to the 45. Out to midfield. All the way down to the Riders' 51. Great return by Ian Smart. 34 yards. Coming off a knee injury. Only started practicing really 100% on Thursday, but he looked right there.
Hey, Rick, I was looking at the stats yesterday. Luca Conji is 10 yards less on average than any other kickoff guy in this league. And there it goes. He was a short kickoff that Smart was able to take up the middle of the field, and look at the great field position the Lions have to start this game.
First down BC at the Riders 51. Dickinson shotgun, 4 receivers to the right. Joe Smith lone back in the shotgun I formation. Dickinson takes the snap. Play action, rolls out to his right, lots of time, throws short to Claremont at the 45, to the 40 for a first down, to the 35-yard line. Claremont, 16 yards, and a budget break a muffler, first down for the Lions.
Well, we talk about, funneling that energy into a positive way, and right there, the Saskatchewan Roughriders come flying out of the gate, and they bite on that play action fake. Dave Dickinson comes out to his right after the fake, and there is nobody trying to contain him, and Claremont wide open in that right flat.
Lions 1st and 10, Riders 35, again out of the shotgun eye. Joe Smith, the lone back. Lyle Green lines up as a tight end, 4 receiver set. Dickinson takes the snap, drops straight back, swings it out to Smith out of the backfield. Smith has to break a tackle, breaks one, and squirts ahead for a 4-yard pickup. When it looked like he might be stopped for a loss, it'll be 2nd and 6.
Yeah, the Saskatchewan defense is a lot similar to the Lions in the sense that they have great speed, and that swing pass out to Joe Smith is right there initially, but that defense flying up there, and Joe Smith making some people miss and picking up big yardage right there when it looked like he was going to get nothing.
4-yard pickup, 2nd and 6 BC. Riders 31-yard line. 5 receivers. Thelwell wide left. Paris Jackson to the right. Smith the lone back. Shotgun eye. Dickinson barks out the signals. Takes the snap, straight back, going to pass. Dickinson looking over the middle, passes complete to Simon inside the 20 for the first down. Gets thrown down to the turf by Tristan Clovis at the 18-yard line. 14-yard pickup for the Lions.
When you play against the G. Simon, you have to respect the speed. And when you have speed, that defender just cannot stay with you man-to-man. He's going to give you some cushion. And Clovis, who's a safety, is coming over and trying to cover the premier slot back in this league.
Budget break a muffler, first down Lions. Riders 18. BC inside the Chevy drive zone. Dickinson shotgun, 5 receiver set. Play action. This time he rolls left, throws short, passes complete again to Simon as he picks up close to 5 yards, pushed out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
We talk about the use of formation and Jacques Chapdelaine doing the tremendous job of moving guys around. There's a perfect example. They use a formation where Lyle Green is in the game. He lines up as a receiver. Well, now for the quarterback, if you see a linebacker go out and cover him one-on-one, you know what you have. It's man-to-man coverage. So now you can go to the opposite side where you know you're going to get man coverage.